It's a great book by Paul Boak, Digital Adaptation. He writes about how the digital by default has become a product that's purely digital. And he has a great blog and a podcast that's every 1 or 2 weeks, and a great Slack channel too, where I can ask questions to a very large community of UX designers. I think he describes it really well, how this digital transformation happened, sort of like in the past, the electricity enabled the factories to move away from a steam engine on the river to be closer to the consumer, and a location didn't have to be next to the river anymore, so they could move their factory somewhere else. Now that we're digital, we could move our business to where the consumer is on the internet. It doesn't have to be in the town that there is a store that's brick and mortar and that's the only store you can go to. With the internet, you can go to any kind of store around the world. A lot of companies understood that opportunity and built a product that's purely digital. For example, Uber doesn't own a cab, Airbnb doesn't own the places that you're staying, Amazon doesn't produce most of the products that they're selling, and Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, it's all one company, but they have content that users upload. They don't provide this content, they just provide the platform, and it's purely a digital product. It doesn't exist in a physical realm. What Uber understood was that they took the pain points out of ordering a cab. Let me give you an example. I went to Lima in Peru, where it's really hard to describe an address in my broken Spanish. Now the driver knows that he's getting paid. I know how much I should tip in a different country where I'm not familiar with this. And he has an address that he can follow on Google. So it's easy for me and easy for the driver. A lot of other companies followed this or didn't follow it, like Tower Records, a physical record store, missed the transition to become an MP3 store on the web. Even those weren't doing very well because they missed the train on having streaming services like Spotify or YouTube. So this keeps changing. It's not just once cabs have to compete to many other platforms like Via, Uber, then they had the scooters for a while. So this is going to keep going. Some of them really completely missed it, like Blockbusters had video rental stores. Now everything is Hulu and Netflix all streaming, and banks don't even have to give you checks anymore. People don't even use checks anymore. Everything can be done digitally, so you don't really need checks anymore. One thing though you need to have is being found. If you're not on Google, you don't exist. Your store is not the only store in town, like I said. There's always another store that's somewhere else that you can find through Google. So especially for e-commerce, the HTML has to be written so it's easy for a search engine to find it. And all other tricks you can do with search engine optimization. You could link to other sites. The more active links you have coming to your site will improve your ranking and push your listing higher in Google. So that's almost like a science in itself. Also, when you go to a website, it's really hard for people to learn new systems. So you want to make it really easy. The one on the bottom, I think it's not a good example. It's really hard and confusing. You don't know where to click and what. You have a pretty immediate need to buy something in a store. You might know the aisle that you go to and get it. It's very easy. But if it's all digital and all over the place, you need to give users a very easy way to actually find that. So it's kind of a red flag if you see if they still have a style guide that's print only. They're kind of stuck in that old analog world, haven't really adapted to the digital world. What's really good on digital is you have unlimited power of testing A/B. You can run new systems every day and see which one works better. So your product isn't set. You can change it any day. That's a really great advantage of digital. So in the old days, you would send a press release by fax to a bunch of outlets like magazines to get the word out, or TV stations or radios. These days, you have to also include social media and blog posts. So instead of printing and writing articles, you might want to hire somebody to have a podcast or a radio cast. Another relevant example is teaching online. 10 years ago, that would be impossible. But now with the new technology digital, we don't have to be in the campus, even though I miss it, but it's totally appropriate to teach it digital as well. There are also dark patterns, and I'm going to bring this up in the later part of the course as well, that where you have to sign up, then you forget about it, and the next month you get charged. They're all part of this kind of system for marketing to get you hooked up on their product, which in the long term, though, it's very sketchy because if you lose their trust, you're never going to get back. And one bad review in this digital world can also completely ruin your company. So the otaku is the Japanese word for nerd, but I think it's not meant to be in a derogatory bad way. It's more somebody that knows a lot about things. It used to be in the old days, as this example that I'm bringing up, that there's a bakery in the town and that's the only bakery you have to go to. Now in digital, you have a million bakeries. Your choice is much larger. So instead of being the cheapest bakery, you cannot compete with 100 million cheaper and cheaper bakeries. Instead, you should make a product that only this otaku nerd, this very small niche market, you make that bread that is so delicious that these people come to you because of you. You should concentrate on that, making it so special, so niche, so otaku. That would be the reason why people come to you.